Dave Naylor had the toughest assignment of the week. He is at the Mile High City. He is mile high in Denver. And Dave, you do look cold, so we're going to make this brief. The Patriots offense struggled for much of this game, as you know. How did Drake Maye and company eventually adapt and learn to play within these weather conditions?
Well, I think the first thing they did was stayed patient. I mean, you look at that turnover that got forced deep in Denver territory that New England ultimately converted to their only touchdown of the game, the Drake Maye run in for the score. I mean, at that point, they only had 36 yards of offense when that turnover was created. So it wasn't like anything was really working, either throwing the football. Certainly we know how elite Denver's pass defense was. We saw their pass rush both on the interior and the edge coming towards Drake Maye. And on the run game, they weren't getting much going there. The thing that really started to loosen the game up at times, and certainly that was the case throughout, was Drake Maye's running. I mean, his first 3 rushes went for 50 yards. He was overall 7 for 65, and most importantly, 6 of those runs went for first downs. And when you look at the way this game went, one of the things that Maye had to do was limit turnovers. We know he turned the ball over 5 times through the first 2 playoff games, and when the Patriots opened that second half with that 9.5 play drive that ended in a field goal, it ultimately turned out to be the winning score. Maye said he went to the sidelines afterwards, said to the team, okay, all we got to do is take care of the football and let our defense do its thing, and that's ultimately the way it wound up. And I think for a young quarterback, really adaptable. I mean, look, this for Drake Maye was a season high in rushing yards. He also had a season low in passing yards. The conditions obviously playing a lot of that, but I think for a second-year quarterback, able to adapt to that kind of game script and those kind of conditions, I think was very impressive. And, Maye shared a pretty interesting anecdote, Jay, at the podium afterwards about how going to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl, he was at the Super Bowl in Santa Clara 10 years ago for the game between the Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. He's a Carolina kid. He was in grade 7. His dad said to him, hey, if the Panthers make the Super Bowl, we're going. Well, 10 years later, Drake Maye is going back to the Super Bowl, taking the Patriots for their 12th visit to the NFL's biggest stage.
As for the Broncos, Dave, they got the script they needed in order to win with their backup quarterback. So where did it exactly get away from them?
I think there are 3 things that the Broncos will look back on and kind of wish went differently. One was their failure to get to 10 points. I mean, look, they were deep in New England territory. During the first half of the game, they're up 7-0. Could have kicked a very makeable field goal, and instead they decided to go for it in 4th and 1. That's kind of the way the NFL is these days, but when you knew what kind of game script that this was going to be and the weather that was starting to materialize and was on the way, it certainly would have behooved them to go up 10-0. Look at the way that game turned out. They had 2 other chances to get to 10 points, one on a field goal from beyond 50 yards just before halftime, and then one on a drive that started on the New England 33-yard line, and the field goal attempt was blocked, or was tipped certainly at the line of scrimmage, and ultimately goes wide. The other one was the turnover battle. I think we all understood that any formula for Denver to win this game, I mean, they were going to have a neutral turnover battle and perhaps have to win it, and ultimately they lose it 2-0. One on the play where the fumble by Jarrett Stidham that, I say, leads to the Drake Maye touchdown, the only touchdown of the game for the Patriots. And then late in the game when he forces the throw and Christian Gonzalez makes the interception that essentially ends it. But I think the biggest thing, and we knew this coming in, that if it got into a run battle, New England was going to have an advantage on that. And certainly the way the weather progressed through the day, this one came down to running the football. There were only 55 passing yards between the 2 teams after halftime. And you look at the way New England was able to run it, not just with Drake Maye, but also with their running back tandem. They had 98 rushing yards in the second half. Denver had just 22. And when Denver wasn't able to run the football, you knew at some point they were realizing they were not going to be able to put together a long, sustained 12, 14-play drive. It was going to have to be something bigger, and ultimately they forced the throw to the Gonzalez interception, which, I say, effectively ends the game. So lots of ifs and maybes, a gutsy performance by a Denver team that got the style of game they needed, but ultimately come up just short.
And now the Patriots will advance to their 12th Super Bowl. With a win, they would set a new NFL record with 7 Super Bowl victories. Dave, the snow squalls are intense, so you better get inside, okay?
I certainly will. It was quite a show after the game here. The weather, the celebration, it was a great scene to be part of.